The Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development says South Korea's economy will grow 2.5% this year, and the global economy is looking to remain resilient. Let's turn to Professor Yang Hee-dong for details. Good morning.
Good morning.
The OECD downgraded its forecast for South Korea's economic growth, considering its outlook was 2.6 back in July. Should we be worried, or is this a concern?
Well, this 2.5% growth rate is actually the same as that of IMF, KDI, and ADB, even though it is a 0.1% point lower than our government estimation. So I should say that there are both good and bad news within this the number. The good news is in the beginning, in the last February, the OECD estimated 2.2. And if you remember the growth rate of last year, which was 1.4%, and this number is pretty decent and handsome. But the bad news is they lowered by 0.1% point, even though they never mentioned clearly about the reasons for their lowering of this number. But you can estimate that in the first quarter of this year, our growth rate compared to previous semester quarter, our growth rate amounted to 1.3%. And this number means 3.3% YOY, but unfortunately last quarter, second quarter, our growth rate stepped back by 0.2%. That means 2.3%, the annual growth. And these are the major reasons for their adjustment.
Well, the Bank of Korea has already lowered its outlook to 2.4% for South Korean economy, citing poor domestic demand. Professor Yang, when do you think local domestic consumption will actually recover?
Well, we can also depend on the report of KDI, issued the August. Well, domestic demand consists of civil consumption, private consumption, and investment by the companies. So the KDI estimate and analyzed that we have a big problem in both aspects of domestic demand. So, for example, they originally estimated that the civil consumption will increase about 1.8, but it is adjusted to 1.5 growth. And even the corporate investment is more dramatic. Initially, they estimated about 2.2 growth, but now adjusted to 0.4% growth. So you may wonder what is all those pessimistic estimations and adjustment in the domestic demand. The major reason is higher interest rate. And high interest rate, which is still 0.5% for the past more than 13 months, and the FED, some weeks ago, they lowered their base interest from 5.5 to 5.0. And many economic experts insist and argue that the BOK will also follow the suit of FED to lower the base interest rate that try to help boost up our domestic consumption. So that is the current status about the domestic demand.
Right, a rate cut for South Korea may be just around the corner following the Fed's decision. Now, in the meantime, according to the OECD, again, the global economy will pick up to 3.2% this year and also next year. Where is this confidence coming from?
Okay, now you're talking about the global economy. Well, the last report issued in May, they estimated about 3.1%. And now they adjusted to 3.2%, which is 0.1% higher, which is good. Well, there are a couple of reasons behind their optimistic estimate. The first one is global production is increasing. That may lead to growth in your income, your expenses, and domestic consumption. And another reason behind this optimistic estimation is inflation rate stays pretty decent. Globally, most of the interest rate of the G20 countries will achieve their original goals. Now, how well it is? Well, the domestic consumption price index will be about 5.4%, and it will be reduced to 3.3 last year. Even though this number is still high compared to FED's insistence on the normal price increase, which is about 2%, but we are moving very well, which is very closer step by step towards the level before we had the COVID-19. So that is why they come up with a very optimistic estimation of the global economy.
Well, the Asian Development Bank also said on Monday it believes the economies in the Asia and Pacific regions will expand 5% this year and also 4.9% next year. But it also noted aftermath of the U.S. presidential election may bring some challenges. Let's talk about that. Is that so?
Well, first of all, the ADB also adjusted the estimation to a very optimistic view. The last April, they estimated 4.9 and now adjusted to 5.0. Why? Due to the abrupt increase in demand for the AI. And there are lots of memory chip manufacturing factories located in Asian countries such as Taiwan, Singapore, Hong Kong, and Korea. And besides, the automobiles are very, very good for the export to American market. China and Korea are the major beneficiaries. And you mentioned about the United States presidency election. Yes, many people have a very great concern on this because both of Trump and Harris maintain the same, the perspective and the posture as Biden. That means American first policy will remain the same, no matter who is elected. But Donald Trump is more and more aggressive because he declared that they will apply overall 10% increase in the income tariff, and also he will charge, even higher the import tariff to Chinese products in the ranges of 60% up to 200%. So that's why many people have developed great concerns about the impact of American presidency, particularly in the Asian region, especially when Donald Trump could be elected.
Yeah, we could definitely expect a stronger protectionism from the new leadership in the U.S. But does that mean the results of the presidential election will also affect South Korea's economic growth, or is this an overreaction? What do you think?
Well, I think that concern is pretty reasonable. If you take a look at the report of KIET, then you can see that if the Donald Trump take over, or even the Harris could be less, the threat. If anyone is taking over the power, they may try to make some changes in IRA that provides the subsidy or tax deduction to the environment-friendly products. So a good example is secondary, the batteries. And lots of Korean companies such as LG, Energy Solution, SK On, Samsung, ST, they invest a lot to build up their factories for second batteries. So if the American government reduces the tax subsidy, the demand for second batteries or related cars will reduce. Well, that could be the primary impact on those companies. But I think that those reduced demand will move into the increase for the traditional automobiles like Hyundai Motors. So we have both the pros and cons impact if the new president eradicates or adjusts this IRA.
Alrighty, Professor Yang, thank you so much for your insight. As always, you have a wonderful day.
Right. Have a good day. Thank you.